Tonight marks the Yartzeit Zayin of the Nesivas Shalom Schus Yagan Aleinu, Reb Shalom Noach ben Moshe Avram. And in Beit Hamikdash, he writes a fantastic piece, which I believe is very important for all parents, especially for parents dealing with crisis, and ties it into how Hashem feels at a time of Churban with his children, with us. And I believe it really is like the epitome of what I have learned from the Nesivas Shalom in so many ways, how he brings out the tremendous or, the light of Torah, and the or of the love that Hashem has for every Jew, and the vision of how parents have to go in the footsteps of Hashem and deal with their children. As he says very, very openly in the Nesivas, he talks about crisis and what happens when kids are doing terrible things, what the parents need to do. And it's all tied in, and I think it's very, very important to learn this and to internalize this. He brings down from the previous Slonim Rebbe, the Beis Avram, who says that there is two concepts of an Eis Ratzon. An Eis Ratzon is a special time. We know that there are certain times of the year that are an Eis Ratzon. Shabbos by Mincha, we say, V'anis Tfilasi L'cha Hashem Eis Ratzon. Shabbos by Mincha is an Eis Ratzon. It's a special, special time. He says there's two types of an Eis Ratzon between a parent and a child. Let's say you have a melech, you have a king, and he has a son who is very, very successful. Everybody likes him. He's wise. His kingdom is thriving. He's making treaties with all the neighboring countries, and the king has tremendous honor from his maisim, from his actions and his chachma, and from his wisdom. And that is ma'or and Eis Ratzon by the king. The son walks in, and the king says, my dear son, you bring me so much kavod, you give me so much honor, I'm so proud to be your father. What can I do for you? You know, Dad, I really need 100 billion more pesos or whatever they called, and I want to do a treaty here and I need help. But sure, my son, because I'm so proud of you and you bring me so much kavod that I want to do for you and do for you and do for you. You're my dream child. Al hanar hazeh hispalalti. But then he says there's another kind of an Eis Ratzon that only happens between a parent and a child. It won't happen in any other relationship. It's when the king has a ben mefager, special needs, a fool, and he can't do anything. He can't get anything accomplished. He's a loser. He's a failure. And in that matziv, everything needs to be done for him. The father's always bailing him out of jail. The father's always paying his speeding tickets. The father's always taking care of him. He gets a job and he has to take care of everything. He can't make it on his own. And if it wasn't your kid, so then okay. But if you're the parent, this fact that this child cannot make it on his own, gam hu ma'or etzloi Eis Ratzon, it also opens up a special time to a parent. Because without the father, the kid is lost. Because him alone, he can't find a way to accomplish anything. Because of the fact that he's so unsuccessful, that awakens a love from the father, the king. Says the Nesivas Shalom, this awakening of love and care and mercy is even greater than a person has for his child who is successful. Because the father realizes, I have to help this kid. The other kid, if I don't help, he'll make it on his own. He'll find a way. But this kid, if I'm not going to help him, what's going to happen? And in a certain way, even though it's frustrating, and even though it's not al hanar hazeh, maybe lo yispalalti, but as far as Eis Ratzon, as far as feeling that I need to help, the need to help piece of you goes up, because if I don't help him, who's going to help him? What's going to be with him? He's going to be homeless. He's going to be roaming the streets, eating garbage. This second Eis Ratzon, which is bigger than the first Eis Ratzain, was in the time of the Churban Beit Hamikdash. Even higher than when we had the Beit Hamikdash. When we had the Beit Hamikdash, we were like the child that Hashem is so proud of. But by the Churban Beit Hamikdash, we were the child who couldn't do anything for themselves. We were failures, we were losers, we were homeless. Klal Yisrael was in the worst possible matzav, spiritually and physically. They were killing us, murdering us. Jewish blood was flowing in the streets. They were taking us away in chains. But because of that, specifically because of that, when it's your kid that it's happening to, even though all this was happening, but in the Eis Ratzain level, the Eis Ratzain by Hashem grew even higher than normal because of the tremendous Rachmanas. Oy vey, look what's happening to my children. It says in the Medrash, B'mistarim tifka nafshi, HaKadosh Baruch Hu told the angels, let me cry. And if you don't let me cry, I'll go to a private place that the angels aren't allowed, and I'll cry there alone. And it says, Hashem said, where are my Kehanim? Where are the Karbanis? Where are the Leviim? Oy vey, that the Beit Hamikdash was destroyed. It was destroyed because we blew it. And even though we burned down our house because of our actions, and it had to be burned down, the Rachmanos part didn't go lower. The Rachmanos part goes higher. Al-kei mi-goydel rachamei shemayim, and therefore, because of the goydel, tremendous rachamei shemayim, it answers another question. That we know that when they came into the Beit Hamikdash, they found the kruvim mu'urim zebuzeh. They were like this. And we know that when Klal Yisrael was doing it's mu'urim zebuzeh. When we're behaving properly, it was connected. But when we're not doing Ritzayin Shamakayim, the kruvim were like this. So how come when they went in, did they find the kruvim in this place, which reflects when we're doing the Ratzon Hashem? See, he says, because when we do the Ratzon Hashem, then Hashem has an Eis Ratzon for us. Hashem has a love for us. But this time wasn't just misbehaving and we're going to be okay. This misbehaving came to such a crisis that we were being destroyed. Klal Yisrael was getting ripped apart. And that created such a Rachmanos by Hashem. And that's why the Kruvim Urim Zebezeh, to show the tremendous Rachmanos that Hashem had on us. Ve'is Ratzon Gadol Kazeh Yesh Boi Ma She'ein B'Shar HaMoyadim Shebehem HaYisol B'Medragosim HaRu'uyah. This Eis Ratzon, by Tisha B'Av, the feeling of when you see your kid being handcuffed and taken to jail, or Chas v'Shalom, or whatever it is, when you see them in the terrible, the most horrible matzav, get past the anger and the frustration, of course, all the humanness, underneath you're going to feel this tremendous Eis Ratzon. What's going to be with my kid? And this, by the Churban Beit Hamikdash, was more than by all of the other Mayadim, all the other festivals, because all the other festivals was when we were on a high. Pesach, we were out of Mitzrayim. Shavuos, we were Kabbalas HaTorah. Right? Sukkot, we had the Ananei HaKavod. We were on high madregas. And therefore, the level of the Eis Ratzon was very high, but not as high as the Eis Ratzon that a parent has for a child when they're failing. Ulakach, and therefore he explains Chazal, Le'hoy yoymoyed liYisrael, ki yom shechara b'Beis Hamikdash. What does it mean? Kara alay moyed. It says that Tisha B'Av is a festival, and there's no festival as great as the one of the Beit Hamikdash. Why? Because it awakens the love more than any other time. I always say that hate is frustrated love. We wouldn't hate, parents come to me and they say, I hate my kid, I wish he was dead, Rahman al-Itzlan. But if it wasn't your kid, you wouldn't hate them so much. If you didn't have that love, it wouldn't be so frustrated to being hateful, to being hating of that kid. Hashem doesn't have the love that's turned into frustrated love, that turns into hatred. There was no hatred. Hashem was on our side, and He wants the best for us. And when He sees that we lose our footing, and we're suffering, He has more Rachmanis from us. And He says, I'm going to explain even more. He's going to explain more. The love that Hashem has for Klal Yisrael is like children. And he could have picked, Hashem could have picked any kind of relationship to define his relationship to us. He could have picked marriage, couple. He could have picked boss and employee. He could have picked melech and eved. But he picked specifically a parent and a child. Why? Because it's the only relationship that no matter what, you can't end. It's forever. There are three types of situations that a love of a parent to a child. One, yesh ahava kipshuta b'shah she'aben karav elav v'nimtza b'mechitzasai v'a'av mishtashei imay b'havasai. You have a good relationship with your kid is home, he's hanging out at home, everything is good, beautiful, normal, good relationship. That's number one. Two, v'yoyser mizeh, but there's an elevated love and connection between a parent and a child. He ahava kasher ben motzi hirchik mi aviv ve'eni yachal lehisroi simai she'oz ha'amiskagei I love ma'od. The second kind is when you love your child, but he's not here. He's away, he's on vacation, learning in seminary, learning in Israel, living in Israel, and you miss him. When you miss somebody, that's much more than when they're around, right? That's what the famous saying goes. How can I miss you if you never leave, right? But if they go away and you have a good relationship, so the good relationship when they're around is over here. But when you don't see somebody and you miss them, that's a higher relationship. And listen to these words. Ukechal shuhu rachak yoser. And the more far that this person is, that this child is, hagaguim yoser chazakim. Your gaguim, your yearning, is even stronger. Kechal shuhu rachak yoser. The further away the child is from you, physically, even emotionally, could be in your house. The further that he's away from you emotionally, you yearn for him even more, for his closeness even more. And then there's a third one. There's another concept of love that goes above all of those. When when the child is sick, and they need to make a difficult operation, a difficult surgery, in order to save his life. And imagine this, and the father is the surgeon. He has to cut the flesh of his child to save him. On one side, he knows that I have to do the surgery in order to save my child. But on the other side, his heart is torn to shreds, ripped inside of him, that he's cutting into the flesh of his child, that is nebuch temporarily, until he gets saved, he's suffering from tremendous pain, bitter pain. That inside the heart of that father, of that parent, Misayreres, gets awakened, ahava hachazaka b'yoser. So there's three levels. You have a great relationship with your kid and he's around, he's living at home, you see him all the time. You have a great relationship with your kid, but he's away. And the further he's away and the longer he's away, the more you miss him. And then there's another one, that the kid needs surgery. He's sick, he's deathly ill. And you're the one who has to cut into him. You can't even imagine the pain of a father in such a moment, even if he knows that I'm doing this to save the child, but still, it's tremendously painful. So too, this is the love that Hashem has for Klal Yisrael. It's a tremendously strong, huge ahava, b'li gvul, b'li saif, endless, without a gvul. There's no limit to Hashem's love for us. Hashem says, I love you. When Hashem says, I love, or I anything, it means fully. It's 100%. It's the greatest love in the world. Like it says, tzadikim zichuchu es kala ahava shelehem milvad ahava lebanim kedei sheyuchlu lahargish mibchina ahava shekadosh baruch hu oheves Yisrael. It says tzadikim, they cleared from themselves any love for anything, any materialism, right? They weren't into food or into clothing or into gashmis, but they left the love that they had for their children because they wanted to experience what it's like that Hashem has love for His children. It says from one of the Gedolim that Nebuch, when he lost his son, he said, I have more room in my heart now that I can fill it with love for Hashem. Hard for us to imagine. But until then, he kept that love for his son there. Why? You're clearing yourself from loving anything physical, materialistic. No, but they wanted to have that love for their child because they wanted to experience the love that Hashem has for His children. And according to the example that we just gave, when a parent has to cut into his child, to do a surgery on his child, that we said that awakens the greatest ahava that we can possibly imagine. So therefore, according to that, we could understand that Davka at the time of the Bait Hamikdash that Hashem did this surgery, He had to save Klal Yisrael. He didn't destroy us. He was Hashlech, Kasei, Al-Eitzim, Avonim. He destroyed the Bait Hamikdash instead of us. But so many of us, it was like amputations in order that we should be able to survive. And we are survived as a nation. And at that moment, there's no greater love that Hashem has awakened for His child in this surgery of the Churban Beit Hamikdash. From one side, on the one hand, what looked like we're being killed, murdered, destroyed, it looked like tremendous midas hadin. But in the essence of the Churban of the Beit Hamikdash, but really, we had sinned to such a level it could not continue. And therefore it was a surgery to save Klal Yisrael. V'dafka b'shas ha'churban nis'ayra b'pnimius harachmanus v'ahava ha'gdoilu b'yoyse le'ein shir. So dafka at that moment that we were going through that, it awakened b'pnimius, not in the external relationship of Hashem with us that it looks like midas hadin, but in Hashem's heart, so to speak, was awakening this tremendous rachmanus, tremendous pain, and tremendous love was being awakened, la'ein shir, unlimited. That's why the kruvim that reflects the love that Hashem has for us was mu'urim zebazeh, b'shas the churban, legalois, to reveal to us. We needed to know this. We needed to know this. The kid looks up at his father and you're cutting, you're amputating, and he has to let him know, but no, I love you more than anything. I'm doing this to save you. Hashem made sure that the kruvim mu'urim because of His love for us, but also legalis to reveal to us. We shouldn't think that we're hated. We shouldn't think that it's over, our relationship is over. It's not true. Hashem did what He had to do to save us. And it's specifically when it looked on the outside like the hardest, most difficult relationship. Gila HaKadosh Baruch Hu Goydela Avasir Yisrael. Hashem revealed the tremendous love for Klal Yisrael. V'zeu bir ha'maimer. And that explains, like we said, Shalei Hoya Yomayid LiYisrael K'Yom Shecharav Boi Beis Hamikdash. K'may shenemar Kara Alai Mayid. It's called a Mayid, a festival. Because what is a festival? It's a connection. It's we're celebrating the relationship, and the relationship was on such a high at that moment. Ki az niskale, because at that moment it became revealed. Goydel harachmanos, the tremendous rachmanos v'goydel ahavas Hashem b'li gvul b'li soif she'akruvim u'urim zebazeh. This is the same thing that the Nesivas Shalom brings down many, many times in many different ways about the tremendous love that Hashem has for Klal Yisrael. Even after a person does the greatest avera, he should know that Hashem is waiting for him to daven the same as the biggest tzaddik, that the door is always open, and the love is always there. And anything that happens that we do to Hashem or Hashem does to us is not a reflection of any less love. And this is a time of Churban for us, where we have Tisha B'Av and we have a lot to cry about. We have to know that Hashem loves every one of us, Ahavti Eschem Amar Hashem, with an unlimited, unending love, And when we go ahead and we go to our children who are, even though they are in difficult situations, we follow in the footsteps of Hashem. It's a mitzvah to say in the Torah, and we shower them with the love, the kruvim dafka ma'ir zebazeh, that inside our hearts we feel so much mercy, so much love, so much compassion for our kids when they struggle. Sometimes in the outside we have midas, we have bad midas, we have midas, human midas. So we feel anger, we feel frustration, we feel embarrassed, we have feelings. Hashem doesn't have that. But underneath that, we have to dig under that, and we feel love. We feel so bad for our kids that aren't making it. We feel so bad for our kids that are struggling, our kids that are unhappy. We just want them to be happy and to survive and to thrive and to be able to enjoy life and to be able to be stable and to be able to, at that time when they're stable, Yismach Lev Mevakshei Hashem, to build a beautiful house that will be a Bayis Nevam B'Yisrael and will bring dairis. That's what we really want. And we have tremendous love for our children, but even more for those who are suffering and that are struggling and hurting themselves and hurting their future. And it has to be Ma'ir Ahava. They asked the Nesivas Shalom, what should you do when you see your child is doing Averis? And he said, Muchrachim lishloit beruach. He didn't say get a hold of the kid. That's a waste of time. He didn't say boundaries, rules, tell him not in your house. He didn't say any of that. He said, Muchrachim lishloit beruach, get a hold of yourself. Get a hold of yourself. You're freaking out because you're a human being and you have feelings and you worry about busha of the neighbors and you're worried about it's all true. But get a grip, get a hold of yourself. And do what? What's the medicine? Ula oir, a love, and awaken towards your child, ahava v'chemla, b'li gvul, love and mercy without any limit. Even more than you did until now. People would say, what? What kind of a message? We have to show I hate you. I don't like you. I'm going to show more love than before, so the stable kid gets this much love, and the not stable kid gets more love. That's the medicine. That's the medicine. Like he says, the further away that the child is, the more gaguim we have for them, that we want them to be stable, happy, and be'ezus Hashem, healthy, and be'ezus Hashem, yismach lev mevakshei Hashem.